Today, we are joined by Isatou Bokum, Mandela Rhodes Scholar, media professional, and advocate for girls' rights. As president of the Oxford University Africa Society, she led the 2024 Oxford Africa Conference, launching initiatives like AfriSites Magazine and the Oxford Africa Alumni Network. She's the founder of Girls Talk organization, and she's also dedicated to shaping policies that uplift women and girls across Africa. She recently completed her second master's degree in public policy at Oxford. We have her on as the first guest in the Blanda podcast, and here are some questions we've asked. First up, what was your motivation in creating the AfriSoc magazine?
I think when I was campaigning specifically for the position as a communications person, I just felt it was very necessary to have a society magazine, which will project the brilliant minds that we have in Oxford, specifically the Oxford Africa Society. We have a lot of young people who have skills in different areas, expertise in different areas. But what was lacking is that we were not showing this off outside. I mean, most of that was put into Oxford work, assignments, exams, and stuff. I'm like, if a lot of people are like writing for other people or they're writing their own op-eds on social media, why not we bring all those ideas as one on one platform, which is the AfriSites magazine, and be able to project that as a baby or a starting point for the society. And that will also make it obviously easier for when we're talking to people about what the society does and the extraordinary minds that we have within the society. They're able to understand it better because they're reading from their perspective rather than us explaining as an executive. It was a number one project for me. I was like, where do we start? How do we put it together? How do we bring all these brilliant ideas together? It was a first edition. We could not feature so many pieces that we had, but we had to sit as a team and select the ones that we felt like aligned with the themes that we had decided on that we wanted in the magazine, and also themes that like aligned with what we wanted for the conference. Hence, the plan was to launch it at the Oxford Africa Conference. That was just the idea behind it. How do we compile all the brilliant, extraordinary ideas from young people in Oxford, in the Oxford Africa Society, just in one book, which was quite challenging. But yeah, just project that and have other people have a read and understand what these people are thinking and the progress that they want for the continent.
What was it like navigating the landscape in Oxford as a young woman from West Africa?
I mean, it's always challenging. First, there is young. Second, there is woman. Thirdly, there is African. So, all of those things in one sentence will just tell you that there's always going to be challenges. But I think for me, what drives me is always remembering where I'm from, why I started in the first place, and where I intend to go. So, whenever I'm in spaces like obviously being in spaces like Oxford and being in spaces where you meet other intellectual young people and share ideas, have conversations, those spaces can be very intimidating. I found it very, very intimidating the very first months that I was in Oxford. And I remembered so many times that I asked myself, how did I get here? Do I deserve to be here? You know, all those feelings just rush down. But I think, again, when I think about where I'm from, the Gambia, and with the limiting opportunities and knowing how much we have to fight to get certain opportunities compared to our other counterparts from other countries, and knowing how hard it is to actually have access to certain things and fighting your way through, even though sometimes there is support or even when the support is limited, but it's still a challenge no matter the ways in which you want to navigate it. So when I think about that and I'm like, what steps did I take to get here? And I think about those and I know how challenging it was and how I had to push myself so many times. I'm just like, I deserve to be here. Nobody just does not get up and just fall in Oxford. I'm like, I'm doing something right. And because I'm doing something right, I deserve this space and I deserve to be here. I deserve to be an Oxon and I deserve to be in this space. I deserve to give it my best.
Is there a moment that stood out to you during your journey?
I think one of the instances that stood out for me is serving as the president of the Oxford University Africa Society. And I can tell you for sure, just thinking back on that, I know the amount of challenges that took being obviously from a minority country. And when I say minority country, that's no offense to the Gambia. But then when you look at Oxford, outside from Senabu, who was there during my first year, and we did our programs. I mean, she did a different program, but then during that year, we were doing our programs simultaneously. And then she finished, she graduated. I graduated with my first master's and then I decided to do a second one. So during that second year, I was basically like the only Gambian I knew. And there was only one time that I met a Senegalese girl. So being from a minority country in that sense, to say you turn left, right, center, you're the only person representing your country, compared to like Nigeria, Ghana, and other countries who had like multiple people who were there studying at the same time. And they had that society of their own where they can meet and discuss. And whenever they're having challenges, they have somebody from their countries who can assist them or who can support them. I had support from other countries, of course, but I think it would have been different if I had like a community of Gambians who were studying in Oxford and whom I can like lean on. And I'm like, Hamgen, Nolan, let's have a conversation. This is what is happening, and I need advice. So I think those were like one of my challenging times, just realizing that, okay, you're the only one here at this point in time, and you are leading one of the biggest societies within the university.
Why did you choose Branda, by the way, to help you with Aftershock magazine?
The decision was, which was a brilliant and decision that I do not regret, by the way. I wanted to work with a Gambian company, and if I did not get that, we would have worked with an African company. Again, it just goes back to how African oriented I wanted everything that I did within the society to be. And I also thought it was a way to show the talent that we have within the continent. So sometimes people like myself, we find ourselves here and we're like, oh, these people are easier to work with. Why do we have to go back home and work with our people? But I was like, no, there are people back home who are not only doing brilliant work, but they're doing it efficiently and they're doing it effectively. I wanted to ensure that I give them the chance to showcase their work, such as Branda. But I'm like, okay, but this is Oxford and this is the society in general. How do I ensure that Gambian companies such as yours also gets the spotlight? Hence, we're going to be launching at the conference. And I was thinking about who was I going to work with. I wanted it to be somebody that will not necessarily give me a lot of difficulties in terms of this is what we agreed on, but now I'm literally begging you to give me my work. I knew that was not going to be the case with you. That also just solidified my decision to go with Branda. And I had seen some of the work that you do also on social media. And I'm like, I like companies that actually use social media effectively to project themselves, to sell themselves. I think if anybody is going to be there to be able to give kudos or brag about your work, the first place they're going to check is social media. What is Branda doing? What have they been doing and stuff? And I know the amazing work you've been doing through that. And when I reached out, just the way the reception to the entire idea and you understanding the vision that I had made it easier to just say, you know what? I just told my team, I'm like, we found somebody, no argument. This is it. Even though I wanted their opinion on it, but it was already an executive decision. Hence, I was editor in chief. We had to just decide on it. And I think all of them saw why I decided and stuck to using Branda. And then when they saw the results, they were like, yeah, you were right.
Amazing. So what's next for you?
So I'm currently doing my summer project. I'm doing some DEX research for my department, and then I should return to the UK I'm currently in the US, but I should return to the UK in November for my graduation and then come back to the US. I don't know what's going to happen then. Maybe get a job.
Okay. So are you coming back to the Gambia?
I mean, I will if I get a very good offer in Gambia. I'm definitely absolutely open to it. It just depends on what the offer is and what the job is. Because for me, it's very important that I love what I do. And then I do so in a space that makes it comfortable for me to get my work done. Before I left Gambia, I had like worked in various places within that landscape. And I want to build beyond that. When I say build beyond that, is that if I'm coming back, I want it to be more than what I've done before. More like, for instance, something that's more fulfilling to where my career trajectory is right now. When I was in Gambia, I was doing more of comms and PR. Now I don't want to only focus on comms, PR, and gender, but then I want to do comms, PR, gender, and also a little bit of policy work. We're just going to see what's going to happen. If by December I get a good offer in Gambia and it aligns with what I want to do going forward, absolutely, you'll see me in Gambia. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me and all the best.
Thanks for listening to the Branda podcast. That was the first episode featuring Isatou Bokum, former president of the African Society at Oxford, sharing her story of navigating power, identity, and belonging in elite spaces. We were honored to design their magazine and even more honored to hear her truth. New episodes drop every week. Stay bold, stay human, and see you next time.